welcome to another Coach Dev Academy lap guide. My name's Bart, and today we'll be taking the FIO4 car around the Silverstone GP circuit. Here's the hot lap. Alright, so heading into the first corner now on the GP circuit. We're sort of starting, going past the F1 pits here and into Abbey. Should be flat, even on this fixed setup, it will be flat out, be a bit understeery, so it won't just be easily flat, but very doable. No reason you should be lifting, even on cold tyres first lap. It'll want to push a bit, so the front will slide a little bit, but it will still be flat out. Recommendation for the entry curbing here, use it, but only use a wheel. You can see here I'm using part of it. The reason why I'm not using all of it is this bump is quite bad, especially on this model. We don't need to be in that. That can only upset the car and actually kind of delays your turn in. So that's why I'm only using one tire. You can see here on the outside curbing before I turn in. And also because we're going to be flat anyway, so it's not like this huge differentiator of, if I take all the curb, it's flat, and if I don't, it's not. Okay, so most important thing here is every single lap you need to be looking to make this apex curb. If you don't make this apex curb, you're going to probably run wide, and also it just helps rotate the car quite a bit, so make sure we get onto that. And then on the exit, just be smooth on the steering as much as you can. We don't really want to be putting tons of lock-on through here once you get through the apex. Just smooth, let the car, you see it kind of drifts out. So it's not easy flat. It's not completely planted through here. It's going to move about a bit, but you should be able to take it flat, run nicely onto this left curb. Just, you see I bring it out a fraction? That's just to ensure I don't only take this left flat, but I can also get the car all the way over to the left-hand side before I brake for turn 3 or village. So we're just trying to prepare the car there. Okay, using all the curb. This curb as well will help rotate the car, so please ride this curb. Won't spin you, but just use it the whole time to help turn the car. But the whole time. Work as hard as you can to get back to the left. You can see here I just don't quite make the white line, but we get very close. Just try your best, because we want to try and take this flat, and then, considering we're taking it flat, how close can we get to the left-hand white line? Braking now into village. Braking reference, pretty easy around the start of the curb here. In this case, for me, basically braking when this green bit of AstroTurf ends and the painted curb starts here. You can brake later than this. You can brake a bit earlier than this. There's a little bit of a range to play around with here. The important thing is we're braking around the start of the curbing. Okay, down to third gear. making sure we get into the camber here on the inside of the corner. It's not a corner where you have to be right up to the sausage curve on the inside. Don't feel like that's necessary, but you also don't want to be, you don't want to be more than like a car width away, I'd say, from the inside curb. So just make sure we're getting in reasonably close to the inside. More important than that is that you roll quite a bit of speed in here because, like I said, there's a bit of camber. So if you attack that entry, push the car on the way in, should be able to use all the front, so you can really lean on the front tire and see how much speed you can take in until the front starts sliding and you come out of the brake. And it's a reasonably heavy hit of the brake, but not too hard because it can sometimes unsettle the car a little bit. Down to third gear, it's a reasonably early throttle pickup here just because you want to balance the car. Because if you keep the lock on and you wait a bit to get on throttle, sometimes it can get a little bit loose. So if you just pick up throttle a little bit, it'll kind of settle the rear, put the weight back down onto the rear end of the car, and it'll allow you to get some more grip there, and then you can kind of commit to full throttle here. Work hard to get back to the right-hand side. You shouldn't be all the way over to the right. It's not really necessary in this car because it's not as heavy as some of the GT cars, but at the same time, you don't want to be on the left-hand side of the track either, so you can see there's kind of a rubber mark here. But I always think of it, I want to be about 2/3 over here. But really, it's a case of how far can I get over to the right-hand side without compromising my braking. If you find yourself further left, you might have to bring back the exit of the previous corner a bit, so wait to get on through a little bit. That's why I find it's really important to get into that camber and get the car well rotated through that. All right. And something else to note as well, common thing is if you brake a bit early into village, you rotate the car a bit early, in other words, doing the corner a bit early, you're going to pick up the throttle a little bit early then, and then you're going to end up quite wide through here. So you can imagine if I pick up the throttle earlier here, because I've done everything a bit earlier, I'm going to get on throttle, I'm going to end up wider. So if you can be a bit later on the brakes, it sounds a little bit potentially confusing, but if you can be a little bit later on the brakes into village and not kind of compromise how tight you can get to the inside, then you actually create a later rotation point, and then because of that, you're kind of going to be in a better position because you're not on throttle as early, and you'll be more prepared for this next left-hand of the loop coming up, which is one of the most important corners, maybe the most for lap time on the track, just because the exit's super important here. So down to second gear, very soft brake. You look in the bottom left here, really, really soft braking from me. So if you brake hard in this car, two things are going to happen. One, the first thing is the car's going to go like this. It's just it's going to nosedive very aggressively. You're going to pitch the car a lot if you brake hard. The rear is going to start sliding and coming around. The second thing that's going to happen as you start turning in, because it's what I call a combined entry, so you're turning and braking at the same time, and it's really testing in that way into this corner, you will lock up. This car will always lock up as soon as you're braking and turning. So we need to be really careful here not to brake very heavily. I'd rather you brake, 3-4 meters earlier, but a bit softer, just so the car is more willing, a better platform for you to be able to carry speed and rotate the car through the corner rather than unsettling the car really early and aggressively in the braking zone. So smooth on the brake here, not too hard. You can see again with my steering, I'm not yanking the wheel either. Okay, aggressive, letting the car rotate nicely. The car wants to rotate on its own. With an open differential, the rear is going to come around on its own. Don't have to be too aggressive here with the lock. Down to second gear. Again, notice how my gear change down to second is not immediate, not as soon as I hit the brakes. It could have been, but I chose not to because that puts even more stress on the rear axle. If you change down, you're going to start sliding the rear tires a bit. So just try and delay it a little bit. You're not too late, but just a little bit until the car's settled enough into the corner. Also, the other thing you'll find is if you jam change really early, sometimes you kill off the speed very early, and it's quite a long corner. And like I said, you can't really, a lot of corners where you're worried about slowing the car down too early, you might try and brake a little bit later or carry more speed in. And because, you don't really want to compromise the exit here or unsettle the car in the entry, it's, you can't really get away with doing that. So sometimes delaying the gear change is a good way of kind of carrying speed without upsetting the car. All right, so getting to the inside curve now. You don't have to be all the way left like I am here. You can actually be a little bit wider. If you go a little bit wider than this, try and be within a car width, I would say, with the middle of the car from where I am here. You can definitely still do a very fast corner here, being a bit wider. What's more important is that, like I said, you've settled the car nicely on the entry, prepared it well, and then you're able to rotate the car really efficiently, and then able to get on throttle nice and early. If you carry 1 or 2 or 3 more kilometers an hour through the apex here, but you don't actually end up all the way on the inside curve, that's okay. That can still work as long as you get good rotation. Is more important. You can see, look how quick I am on my wheel in terms of, okay, now I need to get, I've got the car rotated, now I need to get the weight out. So I'm trying to stop the car from wheel spinning, especially that inside wheel. And the best way to do that is by trying to reduce the lock on the steering. So you don't have the car as loaded. If you keep, trust me, if you get on throttle here, so you see it's a progressive throttle pickup here as well. It's not super aggressive, which is more common in this car, especially in the high speed stuff. So make sure you're not holding the lock on here. Easiest way to spin on this track, especially at this corner, it's really, really common with people who aren't super experienced. They'll keep the throttle on. They'll go, okay, I need a better exit. They'll just hold the lock on. Try and get that lock off nice and early. You can see I get the lock off just for a fraction there. Even if I have to put it on later, you can see I'm forced all the way out to the exit curve here. And then, if I have to keep turning, that's okay. But if I can get it out when the car's a bit loose and when I'm limited for grip at the rear, then, that's when I need to get the load out of the car. That's when I need to get the steering off. All right, so into Brooklyn's now. One of my favorite corners on the track. Tricky one, this. Down to third gear. So braking is before the 50-meter board, about 65 meters, let's say here. Good estimate at that. I don't want you braking at the 50-meter board. That's pretty. If you do that, you can still make the apex. You'll be quick on the entry, but you end up compromising the minimum speed. And again, the preparation for Luffield, the next right-hander coming up as well. So braking here, reasonably heavy, not super hard. So we're not hitting like 80, 100%. That's because we're not braking in a straight line. You can see we're kind of diagonal here. Use the entry curving first thing, just so we widen off the entry as much as possible. Point the car in, brake in a diagonal. So you can see I'm aiming, say, roughly for the edge of the grandstand here. And I'm really soft in how I reduce the brake. So if you look in the bottom left, quite reasonably heavy initially. Bleed out, bleed out, bleed out. Just think about that brake decrease the whole time. So the reason why I've come off the brake so early and so quickly is because if you hold the brake here and try and turn, you'll either lock up, like we said, with the loop, and also kind of upsets the rear. So if you really try and brake later here, like 5-10 meters later, brake harder and then turn the car in, quite often the rear will just come around. So the best way to avoid that is having this more progressive entry where you just focus on stabilizing the car and carrying speed. Also get over this inside curb. This is just about legal. As long as you have kind of the middle of the car, so the line down here where the halo is, right of this edge of the black and white curve at this point, you'll be okay for track limit. So this is just about okay. So just about go inside it there and then fall away. Pretty much the limit here. This curve is also very grippy as well, so I recommend using it just to help rotate the car. Early throttle pickup, with the way I've set up the corner, it allows me to pick up the throttle quite early. Straight on to about half throttle. And again, it's a good scenario of using the inside curve to hook the car up, then pick up the throttle. You see, I don't actually quite get to full throttle there. You don't want to be forced out onto the outside curve in this car. If you do that, then you've over pushed the exit of Brooklyn's. I'm just trying to carry speed, but not end up too wide. So you can see I'm in a position where you want to be kind of within half a car width of the white line on the right-hand side would be my instruction through there. And then for Luffield, really challenging corner. Make sure you get over this inside curb bit here. So you've got your right tires on the black and white where this AstroTurf ends. That's kind of your reference. So that's your entry. That's where you want to be. Really soft brake through here. Again, look at the left. Look how soft I am on the brake. Really, really, really soft. And it's the same stuff we talked about the whole time. I'm not locking up that way. I'm not unsettling the car. But more importantly than any of those through this corner, it's a very, very long corner. And it allows me to carry a lot of speed in until the point of pick up throttle. Because if I brake harder here, the car's going to get slowed down a lot. I'm going to end up kind of all over the inside curb. So then I'm going to have to accelerate, right? Because otherwise I'm kind of just stuck there sitting on the inside curb. I'll pick up the throttle early, and then I'll probably have a moment on exit. I'll have to lift out or something. So to kind of delay that point until I have to pick up the throttle, I want to carry a bit more speed through the corner. And the way you're going to do that, softer brake. Okay? So a nice soft brake through here. Just try and wait. until this this orange bit of curb here is kind of a good reference for, okay, this is when I kind of want to get the car rotated, and that's where I'm moving back towards the inside curb now. On throttle, look for the exit really early, look up to your exit, using all the exit curb pretty much as well here. It's weird, this is just about legal. Sometimes you will get, it's very easy if you go half a tyre width more, the gravel's quite aggressive, so if you're near the edge of it, you can quite easily get off track, so keep that in mind. This is legal though. Flat out now, just cut across woodcut here because you can on iRacing, it's flat. Curving there's very flat. Okay, so into cops now. Tricky corner, simple but tricky to get right. Usually inside curbing, first key, second key. Look into the apex super early, it's blind. Look for the vanishing point behind this barrier. You always want to hit this apex curb. You always want to hit this apex curb, and the key to being fast at cops is consistently hitting the apex curb, consistently getting on this inside curb. Okay, brake, soft. You see, it wasn't like a very. It was. I could have hit the brakes a bit later, a bit more aggressive. I could have like pumped the brakes a bit more. Again, that would have unsettled the car. Okay, would have kind of caused the weight to go like that, and then it would have been a bit all over the place on the entry. So I'm being a bit softer here. That's just to be a bit smoother with the car. Not to upset it as much. Down to fifth gear as well. Down to fifth gear. As soon as you get, so you only a soft brake there, almost fully off the brake by the time you reach this curb. As soon as you get to the throttle, as soon as you get to the curb, pick up throttle pretty much. You can see on this, in this scenario, I got it lined up really nicely, so I'm able to pick up throttle just before I reach it, kind of just pick up the lag in the throttle. This is ideally how you want to ride it. So you got the right tires on this green bit. But if you, as long as you can get onto the curb in some form every single lap, it makes a huge difference. And once you do that, you can pick up the throttle very aggressively, get the full throttle pretty much straight away. Force yourself out, outside curb. Track limit is if you run over half your car beyond this black and white curb. So this is just about legal. Bring yourself over to the right hand side nice and early here, up to sixth gear. Just clip that curb in a little bit. We're just trying to open up this section now. Important to prepare maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel. So after I ride the sausage curb, you don't need to, but it does help open up the angle a little bit because you're not braking in this car, so it doesn't really do too much. It's just for purely just for the angle of attack we're trying to get on the entry here. So you want to have the car facing this way. You don't want to be. It's a bit of a trap. A lot of people go into this corner and they'll turn in, and the car will be facing in this direction. They'll be taking like a normal left-hander, and the car will be going this way. That's why what we're doing is we're going to use all this curb here, and then we're going to point the car out towards this grandstand here, using all this sausage curb. This is going to pay dividends later in this section, but it's all about just preparing for the hanger straight. It's the most important part of this, okay? So lifting, part left through here, right tires fully on the curb, down to fifth gear, down to fourth gear now. So the most important thing is that you're down to fifth for this left, and then fourth for this right. In this scenario, I think with the fixed setup especially, it can be good to go for fifth, fourth now, just to help rotate the car, because it can be quite understeery in the high-speed stuff. Positioning-wise, we did all that work before, so now we can carry a lot of speed through maggots, like almost flat, just lifting after would kind of come off the inside curb. But the main thing we're trying to do positioning-wise here is be about 2 car widths away from the left-hand side curb. So when we turn in here, down to fourth gear, I've got the car fully over the left curb, all the way up to the grass. And we want this angle. Again, the car's pointing this way. It's not pointing that way. And this is fantastic. This little flat platform we have here, this enables us to get a really good exit and open up Beckett's, Chapel. Okay, really soft brake there. Just a little bit on throttle again. Soft brake, get the car turned in, and then that allows me to pick up throttle nice and early. Everything you do through that section, always think about preparing for what comes next, and always try and do things a little bit early. Don't try and aggressively shock the car, shock the tire into doing like, bang, I want to change direction now. I want to use the brake like this, bang, bang, bang. So not aggressive on the brake, throttle, or the steering. Everything needs to be kind of done a bit in advance, and with a bit of a forethought, or just thinking about preparing for what's coming next a lot of the time, and being nice and smooth with the car, because there are long corners, and the car gets upset if you're too aggressive. All right, full throttle now. You can't use all this exit curb. If you use all this exit curb, you do get off track. So you can see here, I think as long as you got your middle of the car not going to the edge of the black and white, you'll be okay. Or left tires not really on the green here, just kind of on the edge of the green, then you'll be okay. Super easy again, off track there. Don't know why they have it. It's super annoying. And then I didn't really run the car out to the right, just to reduce the distance here on a straight line before we go into Stowe. Get over to the left-hand side nice and early. Don't make the challenge for yourself. The straight's not straight, so you can see what I mean. The straight is going that way. So if you're late to the white line here, if you join it late, you're going to be pointing the wrong way. So you need to be early, not when you just before you turn it. You need to be here early so that you're going in the same direction as the white line. If that makes sense. Okay, so all the way over to the left-hand side, well before this curb. Braking now around the start of the curbing. Anywhere after the 100-meter board, generally okay. And turning in around the 50-meter board, down to fifth, and then down to fourth. Should be quite a late gear change though. Fifth should be done the straight line. Come with the brake a little bit. Rotating the car here. Now Stowe's about how much speed can I carry and still get onto the inside curb, or within half a car with the inside curb. That's the way I always see it anyway. So think of it like that. It's a high-speed corner, very long, a bit like Luffield in terms of it's a long corner. I don't want my minimum speed, so my slowest point in the corner to come too early. How can I just carry more speed through? And the way to do that is by softening the braking. And you still have you can see a fairly decent initial hit here, like 40% on the brakes. But as I'm turning into the corner, I soften up very quickly. That allows me to carry a lot more speed, get the car hooked on the inside curb, aggressively get onto the throttle as soon as you get it hooked on the curb, get the load out of the car, try and open up the steering as much as possible. Track limits here. You can actually be even more aggressive than this. I just didn't see the point in using the extra distance on this lap. I think as long as you have your right tires on the black and white, you should be okay. But it can be borderline between basically the middle of the car and the right-hand side tires here. But this is 100% safe. You can also get a slowdown quite easily if you're about a car width wide. All right. Braking now into the final chicane. Tricky. Very, very tricky corner here. Downhill braking, very easy to lock up. Quite often this is where you get rear locking, so the rear starts sliding under braking. Fairly aggressive brake hit here. You often find that you can't smash the brake straight away. You kind of got to it's only like 5%, 5-10%, but you just got to fractionally lean on it before you hit peak pressure and then kind of sustain that rather than the normal like bang and then bleed out. Start braking around this 100-meter board around the start of the curb. It's one of those braking zones you always feel like you have to brake a tiny bit earlier than what feels right, and that's because of the downhill nature of it. Also because the exit is very important here. So braking down to third gear, actually. Down to third gear. If you take in third, you can take in second, but if you take in third, it allows you to kind of carry a lot more speed through here, as well as get a good exit. And I also found it's good for rear stability on the way in, so can work quite well. You can start in second. Just be aware that if you're in second, you kind of have to do that extra gear change when you're going right on the exit. Sometimes that you can upset the car a little bit with the traction in second gear, so just watch out for that. Yeah, down to third, turn in basically off the end of the outside curbing, nice and smooth on the steering. Don't over scrub or overload the front tire. Don't be too quick to reach maximum lock. Get all the way up to the sausage curb on the left hand side. Pick up the throttle about now, and you shouldn't be able to get to full throttle through here. You might be able to get to full throttle before you reach the right-hand curb. In this case, I wasn't able to, especially if you're in second gear, you might be able to. But you will have to be part throttle through the right-hander here. You won't be able to take this flat. So keep that in mind. Just kind of lift a little bit through here. Get all the way up nice and tight, really close to this right-hand sausage curb. It's also important here. I think a lot of people kind of run a bit deep over to the right-hand side and end up, out here somewhere, whereas we need to be more this way. So they end up out here, they turn through this right, and they kind of hold the corner too long. I think it's important we realize we can rotate the car quite early. So you can see, look, I'm already turning in now. So you think, oh, God, if you turn in now, you're going to hit the inside sausage curb. No, that's not really true. I want the car to be rotated by about here. But I'm kind of going to go rotate the car, but to avoid hitting the sausage curb, I'm just going to turn out the corner because the corner's done already. I can kind of use the exit at that point. We'll get to in a second. So I've rotated the car. So now I'm getting on throttle. I'm starting to come out of the steering because I'm not looking to take the corner and hold it tight around here and then run out to here. I'm trying to get the car out to here. Okay, so I'm trying to get the weight out really quickly. I'm trying to focus on getting onto just focusing on my exit super early, and this massively helps for lap time as well. Get the car all the way out to the outside curb, well before the start of the sausage curb. Then nicely turn in, just reduce the lock as much as possible. Nicely take the inside curb, and that's the end of your lap at Silverstone GP. So that takes us towards the end of the video now. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. And you can also find the Coach Dave Academy Discord in the YouTube video description. My name is Bart, and I'll see you next week. See ya.